and all was known. You could feel beauty rising on the breeze that shapes the stone.
Good afternoon. I brought in some guests today to help us learn some things about anti-bullying and how we can be better people. We're doing, we have Bruce and Hobbes and J.D. Green from Froggy Radio Station sharing a story about a dog that was harmed when he was, before they had it, and what compassion can do to make things right and better. So we're going to learn about their story. So would you please welcome J.D. Green, please.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. We have a very special day for you here today with Bruce, who's going to speak here in just a second. But I'll just introduce myself real fast, and I'll tell you why I'm up here today. Does anybody listen to Froggy 100.9, the radio station? Yeah. Well, I do the morning show. I'm the guy that's on the radio, on the air in the morning, really early. And who knows? Maybe I'll be announcing this school tomorrow morning as being closed for the school day, for the snow day. You don't know. It's possible. It can happen. Yeah. But anyway, I want to thank you for coming here, and I want to thank the school for having us here today. I'll just tell you a real quick story about myself. Bruce and I met about a year ago, and we became friends because we have a lot in common. We both love the radio, and we both love dogs. And I have had a dog for quite a while. My dog Buddy was 16 years old, and he died 2 years ago. And I've been writing a book about my life with Buddy for 16 years, and hopefully someday I'll get it published, and as Bruce says, it'll be a bestseller maybe someday. But it's called Beyond the Dog, and the website is beyondthedog.com if you ever want to have a look at the website. But it's mostly a story for adults about the relationships that we have with the animals and how we treat them and how they treat us and what we learn from animals. And you're going to have a children's story today from Bruce that's about that very thing. So I'm just going to talk for just a second here to kind of the older kids, just for a second. I want to tell you that there's things. I'll tell you a story that I don't share on the radio, on the air. I grew up in a small house. I have a brother who's 2 years older than me and a mom and dad. And that's it. Very small family. When I was in 4th grade, maybe 3rd grade, how many of you are in 3rd grade? 3rd grade, right about there in the middle. All right. What about 4th grade? Okay, right behind him. So I was right about your age, 3rd, 4th grade. Now, when you see a guy my age, you probably think, there's no way that he could remember anyone that he went to school with when he was in 3rd and 4th grade. But I remember one kid. His name was Roger. And the reason why I remember his name is because I bullied him during recess almost every day. When we would be out playing in recess, we'd be playing kickball, we'd be playing baseball, whatever we would do. I used to bully Roger, and all of my friends used to think it was pretty funny. And years and years went by after that, and I fast forward all through middle school, and I go all the way to high school now. And when I was in high school, when I was a freshman in high school, I was bullied. And I was bullied by a big hockey player that went to my school. I remember his name too. His name was Matthew. And every single day, every morning, Matthew used to bully me at the beginning of my day at school every day. And, you know, back in those days, my brother and I used to sit and have dinner with my mom and dad. We all used to sit around the table. There were no cell phones and tablets, and the TV was always shut off. And my dad would always say to me, "How was your day? Tell me about your day. What did you learn today?" And I kind of hid from my dad that I was being bullied by this hockey player who was a junior in school. And one day I finally told my dad, and my dad went to the school and he met with the principal and he met with the teachers. And I was pretty lucky because the bullying stopped. Matthew stopped bullying me. And years went on, and I went through high school, and I made a lot of friends in high school. I had a lot of friends. A good number of the friends that I had in high school had some kind of disability. I had 2 friends that were deaf, and I had a few friends who were in wheelchairs. One of my friends was a kid who was in an accident. He was in a car accident. He was in a wheelchair. So I made a lot of friends. And again, a good number of them had disabilities. I made sure that if there was anyone in my school that had any kind of disability, that I wanted to be their friend. Well, years and years went by, and next thing you know, I was at I think it was my 20th high school reunion. And I was there having a great time. We were dancing, we had a great meal, and Matthew came up to me, and he shook my hand, and he looked me in the eye, and he said, "You know what? I like you. You've got a lot of friends." And Matthew never said to me that he was sorry for bullying me. But I know that just by him shaking my hand and saying, "I like you," I know that that was his way of saying, "I'm sorry." So we stayed in touch for a few years, and we're still in touch today. So the thing that I would probably say today to Matthew Blake is, "Hey man, you don't know what I have to go deal with when I'm not dealing with you. You don't know that I might be sad or upset because my cat died. You don't know what might be troubling me. So please, don't bully me. You should have never bullied me. You should have never thrown anything at me from your car when you were driving home and I was riding my bicycle at home." These are the types of things that I would love to be able to say to Matthew today, because he never really knew what my situation was. So I say to you kids today, please don't bully your fellow classmates and the kids that go to your school, the kids that you meet. Please be respectful, be gentle with your words, be very careful and think about what is going to come out of your mouth when you're getting ready to say something, because words can hurt. Isn't that right? Words can hurt. So you have to be very careful with what you say and how you treat other people. Now, I would love to, before we bring Bruce out, I would love to see a show of hands of anyone in this room who can promise me that they will never bully or use hard words or harsh words toward anyone else, ever. Show of hands. What about this guy over here in the orange shirt? Hands in the air? Awesome. That's good to know. Give yourselves a huge round of applause, everybody. That's wonderful. And we're going to hold you to that promise, too. So let's bring out the reason why we're here today. A guy that shares love of dog, love of animal, a wonderful, wonderful person who's written an incredible children's book, one of the most profound children's book ever written in the state of Vermont. If you can all give him a nice clap and a nice warm welcome, Mr. Bruce Zeman.
Good afternoon, everybody. How is everybody today? I cannot tell you how excited Tammy, Hobbes, JD, and myself are to be here in East Montpelier. And I hope there's some students and some grown-ups here maybe that want to hear a great story. Is there anybody that wants to do that? I know you can be louder than that. Is there anybody that wants to hear a great story? All right. Well, we're going to share a great story with you in a couple of minutes, but before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about how we got here and also about bullying. Now, I think we know from some of the comments JD made that bullying is not a good thing, is it? And nobody wants to be bullied, right? What we want to do is we want to let everybody know how you can stop that if it goes on, and also why you shouldn't do it. But before we get there, we want to talk a little bit about how we got to being here at your school talking about bullying. Now, Hobbes and I have probably the greatest job you can have. We're radio hosts, and I don't know if everybody can see that, but that is a picture of Hobbes at our studio. He's actually there. He's filming. We're recording a commercial for Marble Works Pharmacy in Middlebury. They wanted Hobbes to bark in the commercial, and so he was actually barking there. But is there anybody here by a show of hands that gets nervous when you talk in front of a lot of people? Right? It's kind of nerve-wracking, right? Well, I'm not any different than you. And you know, when I talk to people, I always find it kind of funny because I think it's really important when you're up here sharing the stage with somebody like J.D. Green, who's a really big deal here in Vermont. He's a very, very big radio star. And to have him come with us on this tour means a lot to me. But we have a national podcast called Bruce and Hobbes Radio. That's on every Wednesday on our website, bruceandhobbes.com. And it's about animals. And at the time, when I met Hobbes, I was the morning show host of a station in Middlebury. And I was there for a short time, and I found out that, and the grown-ups here I think will appreciate this, there's things when you get a little bit older that really stress you out. You know, kind of like you have a lot of homework, or you're having a problem with your brother or sister, right? That can be kind of stressful. Well, my wife, Tammy, and I, we were moving from New Jersey. We were buying a house. We were getting married, and we were both starting new jobs all at the same time, which is a little stressful. So one morning, I am at the radio station, and I get a call saying that they've got a dachshund here at the Addison County Humane Society who is in very, very bad shape. Now, I would not be telling you the truth if I said that I had any intention of getting a dog. I had absolutely no plans on getting a dog at that time. But I went over there, and I have spoken across the country about animals for almost 30 years. I've seen just about everything. And when I saw the shape that Hobbes was in, it made me very, very upset. I'm a big believer in telling people the truth about things, and I will share with you something I don't share with a lot of people. Hobbes was treated very badly by the family he used to live with. He was abused by a man, but he was also abused by a bunch of children. And so I see a lot of your faces and the responses, and I get that. And so when I saw how bad he was, I knew I couldn't leave him. So in spite of everything else that I had going on, I knew I had to try to help him somehow. So I sent a text message to Tammy, and I said, listen, you need to see this dog. Sent her the pictures, fully expecting her to say no. But she saw the pictures, and she said, Bruce, we can't leave him here. So we brought him home on a trial. And I'm sure all the grown-ups here know that trials don't usually work out to be trials. They usually wind up being permanent. Well, I had this new dog, and so the following morning, I go on the radio, and I start talking to my listeners about my new dog. And I say, I've got a little dachshund puppy, and his name is Hobbes. Well, more and more people start hearing about this, more and more people start getting interested in it, to the point where it was the only thing people wanted to hear about. So, a few months after I adopted him, we decided to make him part of the show. And that's something that had never been done before. We had the only radio show in the country that is a human and a canine. It was called The Wake Up Crew with Bruce and Hobbes. And during the show, I would talk to him. And we would have all different guests on and so on and so forth. And the show became really, really popular. People started following us on Facebook. And all these crazy things happened. But what was really interesting is people started asking us to do more. Do more for animals. So, having done this for a long time, I decided I was going to do that. So, my wife Tammy here, who is an award-winning Vermont photographer, she's got her photographs in museums and schools all across the world. She says, Bruce, we should write a book. And this is the book right here. It's called Hobbes Goes Home, which is what we're going to be sharing with you in just a few minutes. The more I thought about this, the more I thought it was a great idea. But you know what was funny? The more I looked into writing this book and what had happened to Hobbes, a term came up that we're going to talk about for a few minutes, a term called bullying, because that's what happened to Hobbes. And we decided that we were going to tell his story and try to make a difference for kids and animals. I'm curious, is there anybody here in the audience, grown-ups too? Is there anybody that likes history? Okay. Well, there's one thing that's very, very important for you to remember is that when you read a history book, okay, the people in those books, whether it's President Obama or George Washington or Dr. Martin Luther King, those are all real people just like us. So when you read about them, those are people that got together to do what we're doing today. And the reason I ask you if you like history is because you are helping me make history today. Believe it or not. Really. We are reading this book, Hobbes Goes Home, in every single school in Vermont. We're trying to take this story to every elementary school in the state, 425 schools. So we've gone to over 100 already. I don't know the exact one, but I think it's 105, 106. And so I think years from now, when you're kids and you're grown up and they say to you, Mom, Dad, you remember what it was like when bullying was a big problem? What did you do about it? And you'll be able to answer them. So that's really important. So I hope you like our presentation today. I hope you like us. I hope you like Hobbes. But there's one thing that I want you to remember that's very, very important. I want to make sure everybody's paying attention. This is the most important thing I'm going to say. I want you to remember that each and every one of you matters. Okay? Each and every one of you is important, and it matters that you are here. Everybody wants to fit in, right? Everybody wants to belong, have lots of friends, and be cool. Well, I can tell you that I've never been cool. I've never had as many friends as all as you have, but I'll tell you what. We saved the life of that little dog, so do you think he thinks that I'm pretty cool? Yeah. That's what matters. So in writing this book, I had to find out what bullying is, and what it was, and how we stop it. So if you want a simple definition, so you know what it is, bullying is using your words or your actions to make somebody do something that they don't want to do. And you want them to do it because you're older or bigger or stronger. There are three types of bullying. Verbal, which is when you use your words. Social, which is when you exclude somebody or you put something on Facebook or something like that. Or physical, when you use your fists. None of them are good. And a lot of times I get asked, how do you stop this? Well, I wish there was one simple way to do this. You can talk about bullying all day long. There's none. But the one thing that you can do to really make a difference to stop bullying, whether it's in your school or on the baseball field or wherever, is to tell somebody about it. Tell your mom or dad. Tell a policeman. Tell a pastor. Tell one of your teachers. Don't stand by and let it happen. Each and every one of you can make a difference. And people say, well, how can I make a difference? JD asked everybody who's in 3rd grade or 4th grade or 5th grade. I'm going to show you an example right now how you can stop bullying and how you can make an impact. Young man here wearing a Peyton Manning shirt, okay? Right there. Let's say the person next to you in the green shirt there, let's say he's being picked on, okay? Let's say he's being picked on and you stand up for him. If that young man goes on to be the President of the United States, or to do something great like curing cancer, do you think you had a pretty big impact? You absolutely did. And so that's kind of what happened with Hobbes. We started talking about his story, and it caught on, and it's gone all across the country. Now, we're not that far from the Capitol. I'm wondering if anybody here knows who this gentleman is here. Who is that? You can sit and say it out loud. That's Governor Shumlin, right? Well, Governor Shumlin is actually a pretty good friend of ours. And Governor Shumlin sent our book to President Obama. And last year, President Obama read our book and sent us a letter about how important it is. And so, together, we are making history. And so again, how can you have an impact by doing that? Telling somebody, standing up for someone, letting them know that it's not okay. And you don't think that it can go on to be a big deal? Is there anybody here that has a mom or dad or a family member that's a policeman or a fireman? Okay, some hands. What would you say if I told you that, did you know that Hobbes is a police officer? Hobbes is a police canine in 3 cities and 4 departments. He's a police canine in Middlebury, Bristol, and Virginia, and he's a deputy sheriff in Addison County. He's a sheriff's canine. He's also a fire dog. He's the only fire dog for the New Haven Volunteer Fire Department, and he is the only dog allowed on the floor of Vermont State House. So we've done some really good things, and bringing this tour to all the schools, we're very, very excited because we're getting to share this with you. And so the story that I'm going to share with you now, it's very personal because it's our true story. It's not just something that we've read, it's something that we've lived. And so we also have a little bit of a surprise for you. Is there anybody that likes surprises? Tammy, should I tell them what our surprise is? Is there anybody here that would like to meet Hobbes? Okay. So what we're going to do is, I am going to read the story to you. All right? The pictures are going to appear right here on the screen. And then when we're done, if you guys would like to, I'll answer any questions you have, and then would you like to meet Hobbes? All right, consider it done. Everybody here can meet Hobbes. If you don't want to, that's fine as well. But I've got a great story. Is there anybody who wants to hear a really good story? Okay. So I hope you don't mind if I sit while I'm doing this. Although I'm a hockey player, I took a pretty bad spill last week, so the knee is a little bad, but the story is called Hobbes Goes Home. Can you hear me without the microphone? Can you hear me without the microphone? Okay. So the story is called Hobbes Goes Home, and as I said, it's our true story. And the book itself is dedicated to the millions of animals and shelters around the world who hope to someday find their forever homes. You are not forgotten. Hobbes was confused. His mommy put him in the car and brought him to a big brown building. They went inside and she handed him to a lady he had never seen before. What was mommy doing? And where were they? Dogs were barking and there were cats too. Hobbes didn't understand why his mommy brought him to this strange place. Hobbes' mommy gently touched his head and said that he would be safe here and that the mean man couldn't hurt him anymore. She told Hobbes not to worry and that a new mommy would come soon. Hobbes' mommy said goodbye. Hobbes watched as she walked out of this strange building. He wondered where his mommy was going and was she going to come back? What if he didn't like the new mommy? Hobbes was really afraid. A few days went by, and Hobbes still missed his mommy. He got to see a lot of people, and they were friendly. He was still scared, but then, in a few days, he started to feel a little better. Hobbes got 2 meals each day, and he had snacks, too. Hobbes loved to eat. It was one of his favorite things to do. And he loved people crackers the best. Hobbes got 2 walks each day, which was another one of his favorite things to do. In the morning, a smiling lady walked him, and a different lady who was also very nice walked him again before bedtime. Hobbes loved being outside, feeling the soft green grass on his little paws. Hobbes wondered if one of these ladies could be the new mommy that he was waiting for. He would get so excited and wag his little tail when they went outside for a walk, but Hobbes didn't like it when they left. He wanted his new mommy to come soon. Hobbes soon learned that this strange building he's in is called an animal shelter. And an animal shelter is a place where animals come to find new homes. There were many different animals, too. Cats, kittens, dogs, puppies, bunnies, hamsters, birds, even some ducks, all waiting to be adopted by their new families. Now, the shelter itself was not very big, and with so many other animals, Hobbes had to stay in one place. He had his own room with his own room with 3 walls and a front row of bars. Hobbes didn't mind the room so much because he could watch the other people and the animals that were in the shelter. The shelter was filled with many new sounds, too. Tweet, 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 quack, 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 and lots of meows. Hobbes started to wonder about all those cats and kittens. They didn't look like dogs, and instead made a meow sound that Hobbes thought was really funny. They were all different colors, too. Some were orange with white stripes, and some were brown with black stripes. There were black cats and cats that were all white. There were even cats that were black and white, like an Oreo cookie. And then there was all that hair. Some had short hair, some had long hair, and there was even a funny-looking cat that had no hair at all. Hobbes noticed there was one long-haired cat that was actually blue and had a smushed-in nose. Hobbes wondered how he could smell with that nose. The animal shelter was an interesting place that was also filled with many new smells. And being a dachshund, Hobbes had a very good sense of smell. And he liked that the smells were all so different, too. Hobbes would stick his long nose into the cat's room. Cats smell different, and they acted differently, too. Cats were not always friendly. There was one time when Hobbes was going outside for a walk that he stuck his nose in the cat room, and Moses, an orange-striped cat, took a big swipe at his nose. Now, Hobbes was only trying to be friendly and didn't expect to get his nose popped. Luckily, Hobbes backed up quickly, and Moses missed him. But Moses gave Hobbes a look that said, "I'll get you next time."
At dusk, there came a turning. There was a moment when all was known. You could feel beauty rising on the breeze, the shapes, the stone.